Well, here we are. February has come and gone, and it is time to talk about the movies that we have seen. Let's get into it. Starting off, the month of February was Groundhog Day. It came out in 1993, directed by Harold Ramis, who I've seen in Ghostbusters, obviously with Bill Murray. Only other movie that he's directed that I've seen is Year One, starring Jack Black and Michael Cera. Honestly, a movie with a lot of wasted potential. Like, it could have been so much better than it was, but besides the point. This movie was the progenitor of time loop movies in cinema. Because it was one of the first to do it, it didn't feel like it was doing a lot with the concept, but that was just because, it was one of the first to do it. Every subsequent time loop movie or project is trying to do something in addition to what Groundhog Day did in Groundhog Day. I was honestly surprised that this movie turned out to be a rom-com. I knew that was an aspect of it, I guess, in the back of my mind, but the fact that it's so front and center was a surprise. I think it was a really good watch. Obviously a classic. I do think that it dragged a little bit towards the end, but that might have just been because I was tired when I was watching it. But like I said, classic. Next up was The Boy and the Heron, released last year, 2023, directed by the GOAT, Hayao Miyazaki. This movie has beautiful animation, beautiful world building, especially with the increased personal nature of the story here. I think I've seen some stuff about Miyazaki basing a lot of the main character's struggles off of his own life. And, obviously he grew up post the Second World War and the effects of that. It just tackles really dark subject matter while also having this whimsy and this fantastical world to it. I really like the world of birds and how they play with mixed morality and how it's sort of like a mirror for the real world. The confrontation of the main character and the pelicans especially is a real highlight of that. This one was for sure another Ghibli classic, and I look forward to Miyazaki's next to last feature film whenever that one comes out. Next up is American Fiction, definitely one of my favorites of this month. Released in 2023, directed by Cord Jefferson. It follows a writer who is a bit in the slumps in terms of being picked up by publishers and just general creativity. I don't want to get too much into it because I went into this movie mostly blind, and I would like you to as well if you have not seen this movie. What I will say is that I loved the comedy and the absurdity of this film, the way that it just escalates things from set piece to set piece, even with the sprinkling of tragedy and family drama. The way that it just kind of builds and builds on the lie that drives the main plot is just so engaging. The way that Jeffrey Wright portrays that character is just so well done. Speaking of Jeffrey Wright, I could listen to that man speak for hours on end. I loved him in this movie. I loved him in The Batman, which is where I really truly got introduced to him. The whole cast of this movie was really top notch. It's really obvious why so many people in this movie, as well as just the movie itself, getting the Oscar nominations, it's a no-brainer. That's all I'm gonna really say on this movie. If you have not seen it, stop what you're doing right now, go watch it. If it's still in theaters, go watch the theaters. I don't care, just watch this movie. The next film is Out of Darkness, released originally 2022, I think the American release is 2023, directed by Andrew Cumming. I will preface this by saying that I missed the first 20 minutes of this movie just because of the location of the theater and details you don't really need. But I also want to say that I am something of a prehistory enthusiast. I'm very interested in ancient humans and ancient human relatives, and so when I see characters of this film, which is supposed to be a Stone Age horror movie, act so stupidly. I understand it's a horror movie and I understand that they're trying to show ancient humans, but if characters that are trying to survive out in the wilderness are acting like they do in this movie, they're not gonna survive. It does not make sense, the decisions that they make. The cinematography in this film is gorgeous though, especially the on-location shooting and the costuming. Those aspects of the film are really, really good. It wasn't really very scary either. There were some horrifying moments, which I'm about to get to in spoilers, so skip to this point if you don't want to hear spoilers about it. The most disturbing part of this film was the cannibalism scene when the dumb father character goes out and gets himself killed, and that's where the horrifying bits of the film peak until the climax where those Neanderthals are murdered. Which brings me to another point. Despite what the main message of the film is saying, I feel like the fact that these humans are indiscriminately attacking these Neanderthals and killing them without any regard for them as a human relative doesn't make any sense to me. These people should have some inkling of what Neanderthals look like and that they are just humans, and And maybe I'm just misconstruing parts of what the film is trying to say, but at the same time, these other humans are acting like supernatural monsters, and there's no real explanation for how they're doing that, and it's just, the film ends with that, oh, humans are the real monsters shtick, and it just doesn't really mean anything, you know? Despite the script, I think these actors did a really good job in immersing me in this world and really making me feel for the characters, despite how dumb they might have been. Anyway, next up is Thanksgiving, also coming out last year, 2023, directed by Eli Roth. I know him from Inglourious Bastards as the Bear Jew. One thing that me and him also have in common is that we've both made films titled Cabin Fever. Mine, I think, is a more clever usage of the title in a film, but nonetheless, I actually wanted to see this movie in theaters. I didn't end up getting the chance, but honestly, I'm glad I ended up watching it on streaming. The concept is a little tongue-in-cheek, while I think it does make up for this with its gore. It's basically Halloween shuffled around a bit. I mean, the film even starts off with like a POV shot in the style of Halloween, and oh, I just realized something about that makes that shot a little more clever than I initially thought. But the main cast is pretty shallow. I feel like the teen characters just exemplify what's not great about modern day high school drama setting. I feel like the actors have decent chemistry and they have good charisma, but that doesn't make up for the script, and everything else kind of just falling flat. There's this one character that I guess gets his comeuppance in the end, but he's just such a classic annoying high school bully. Other than getting into the spoiler territory, which I won't be doing, I think it was a pretty good watch. The way that the mystery sort of continued throughout the whole thing was pretty good, as well as I said before, a lot of nice gory deaths. Other than that, I think it was all right. Last but definitely not least is BlackBerry. Once again, coming out 2023, this film, directed by Matt Johnson, stars Glenn Howerton as well as Jay Baruchel in the lead roles. God damn, this movie is engaging, like right from the start. It's primarily driven by those two main actors, especially Glenn Howerton, the way he just bulldozes every goddamn scene that he's in. The film stars some excellent big 90s glasses as well. I think Jay Baruchel, I'm just gonna say the actor's name, I don't remember the people, has such an arc throughout the film that is really encapsulated within the 3-act structure in the way that Fassbender Steve Jobs movie does, the way it sort of like jumps from these different points throughout the BlackBerry's development. And Doug, played by the director perfectly, is some great fun. Really good stuff. I highly recommend. That is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. This has been February Movies I've Watched 2024 edition. If you did enjoy, you should watch one of the videos that are on screen. I think one of them is probably a film of mine. I would very much appreciate if you watched one of those. Added that to your watch list of the stuff you've watched. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you really enjoyed, subscribe. Anyway, I will see ya. Peace.